buy cable. So then the question becomes an ethical question. We moved into this community with cable and internet being part of my maintenance fees. How can you take this amenity away from me? I don't care that 90% of your population are snowbirds and they don't want cable. I moved into this community because it had cable. That is a consideration the board is going to have to consider when they make a decision as to whether or not they want to drop cable. Before we can do that, I think we need to get a poll out to the community to say, do we even want to consider getting rid of cable? We heard the last time it's not on the table. Many people said absolutely not. Don't take it away from me. We put it in the budget. It's in the budget. Now, if we sign up for cable, is it a 3-year or 7-year contract? And if we change our minds later because we need that $45 a month to put, you know, a new electric meter in or something that's more important and people are willing to stream cable, then we're going to be locked into a 7-year or 3-year contract, okay? So all of these facts need to be gathered and presented. The first step is for me to collect the information, get it in front of the board members so they know what the prices and the options are, schedule a meeting with the company so we can ask them questions, right? Invite the community to present those questions and get Yvonne to send out a poll to the community to determine whether or not they want to drop cable. Okay, so I'm not sure who asked the question, but I hear you loud and clear. You need to really think about whether or not you're going to lose amenities and whether or not we can take away amenities from this community before you vote to take away cable.
Thank you for the excellent answer. It's Robert Morrison. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Robert. I'm sorry, you're about 1 inch on my screen here, so I recognize the voice, but I couldn't see who it was. Any other questions or concerns about cable or internet?
No.
Okay, so for the record, I have the action to pull together the three presentations, schedule a meeting to ask the vendors specific questions. Yvonne's got to get a poll out to the community to find out who is in favor of dropping cable. And at the next board meeting, present the contracts for a vote. Anybody have anything else to add on cable or internet?
No, let's move on.
Okay, nothing from the board?
Okay. No, we're good.
Okay, all right, moving on to old business. Dennis had put together a draft for consideration on the Standards Committee policies, procedures, and enforcement provisions. Dennis, I'm hoping you can give us a brief on that. Again, we're going to follow the same standard. We're going to give the person who's presenting it the opportunity to speak, ask questions from the board, and then open it up for the floor.
Yeah, this is what I thought I'd miss. I'm glad I didn't. This conversation is not so much about what our current policies are as to related to dogs or parking or all the things that are in the bylaw. It's not that conversation. This conversation is about how do you enforce the rules and regulations that we already had. There's a lot of discussion to be had about whether we like the ones we currently have, but currently we don't have any enforcement mechanism to deal with problems. For example, if people's dogs are pooping wherever, or if people have glass by the pool, or I'm gonna go with some objective things that we can all agree on. Broken down cars, things of those nature, torn screens. We have no way to encourage participation in our little social contract here, but the Florida statutes and the overwhelming majority of associations do have a methodology of fines and enforcement, and the methodology that is used is that the board would issue notice of a violation, and then the person who receives that notice will have a certain period of time to then speak to 3 members of the enforcement committee who are not members of the board, not relatives of ours, not roommates of ours, completely separate people who would then just determine yes or no as to whether the violation had occurred. And if it has occurred, then you can fine people in $50 or $100 increments that total up to, if it's reoccurring, that can total up to $1,000. Even at that point, it stops at $1,000. Now, this is not meant to be the Gestapo. This is not meant to be like our, rule of heavy-handed rule. But right now, there's really not much you can do about a lot of these problems because we have no methodology to fine people. Now, a fine, even if unpaid, cannot force into foreclosure the way that non-payment of assessments can. So again, it's very limited, but right now we have nothing. We don't have any way to, it's like your screens are torn. Okay, my screens are torn. What are you going to do? So in this proposal, I adopted the statutes and created a plan where we have 3 people, don't we, Yvonne? 3 people who have agreed to serve on the committee.
Yes, we do.
So that committee would hear. They're kind of the, for lack of a better word, they're the jury to determine whether a violation has or has not occurred. They don't get to modify it. They don't get to charge something different. They just get to say yes or no. If they say no, that's the end of the conversation. If they say yes, they agree, then the fine would be applied to the unit member's account. Again, it's either $50 or $100. I have it all laid out in all the different things. For example, failure to clean up your pet maze, unleashed pets in common areas, unauthorized pets or breeds. The first time would be a $50 first offense, and then $100 for the second one. And then if it kept recurring, it's $100 every day till it gets to $1,000. That's just an example. It also covers things like trash recycling, sanitation, parking, unauthorized alterations, safety, blocking fire exits, damage to common elements like the elevator problems we've had. Anyway, we have the whole board gets the whole list of of all the choices and the method and the proposal.
Yeah, I believe it was sent from Yvonne in the email. I have a printout of it in front of me.
So if you look, it has 2 parts to it. One of them is the actual proposal, and the other is kind of the Exhibit A or the appendix.
Yes. So in summary, Dennis, I guess what I'm hearing you say is, the first step is we need to clarify and specify the rules, right?
I think that the first step is that we agree that we are going to enter we adopt the proposal to form a committee, and we adopt a proposal that has what the amounts of the violations are. Then we would start talking about if we had bylaws or things that need to be amended. But we have current bylaws that are being blatantly violated. We don't need to have a meeting to talk about whether dogs can poop or not.
Okay.
So not the other way around. So I'd make a motion that we adopt the proposal as presented.
Well, I think I have some questions about the proposal, right? I mean, I think I'm okay with forming the committee. We talked about that. The committees have actually been set up and people have signed up to do it. But I'm looking at the documentation right now. The examples, I guess what I'm not clear on is the process, the noticing process, the hearing process, and then the action process, right?
Yeah. Is it not covered in the one that says the one that's like not just the Exhibit A, but the other one?
Yeah, the resolution of the Board of Directors of the River Shores Condominium Association establishing violation and fine policies and procedures, right? So it's our resolution. The definition is the violation, single occurrence examples, continuing examples. But what I'm not seeing in here is the notification, right? It's got the definition, it's got the general.
Number 2, look at number 2.
Okay, yep. General enforcement policy, notice of violation. Before any fine is proposed, the association shall provide written notices. The specific violation, the governing documents that specify the violation, the evidence to support the violation, and a reasonable opportunity to cure unless the violation is not curable. So you know, you may take into consideration, and I don't want to call anybody out, but we all know that there are screens on balconies that have been horrendous forever. There are mold growing on doors that are just horrendous. And so what would be a reasonable timeline? I mean, is that ambiguous? Do we need to be specific?
It tells you that the notice of a violation is that you may get one, you have a time to cure. After the cure period ends,
So it's whatever you determine to be the cure period.
correct.
And you put that in the notice. You have 30 days to cure this. You have 30
Yes,
days to
ma'am.
fix your screens. And then the cure period ends. The board may vote to propose a fine. The notice must specify the amount of the proposed fine. When the violation is continuing, they have a right to a hearing. They can waive that right if the timeline, they don't have the hearing within the timeline. I assume we move on to the next thing, right? It outlines the hearing.
14 days.
It outlines the hearing procedures, 14 days written notice. It's got the fine schedule, statutory mandates are in there, $100 per violation, $100 per day, up to $1,000 maximum. First violation warning or $50, second violation $100, continuing violation $100 per day until the issue's been resolved. The associate may suspend amenity use rights and voting rights as allowed. Then we go on to collection and enforcement of fines and conflicts. I read through all that. I did not have any questions about that. And
Question.
I don't have any questions, Dennis, about what you put forward here. I think, first of all, I want to say thank you. I know this didn't go without a whole lot of thought, effort, and research, but you covered all of my questions. So pass it on to the rest of the board members for questions, concerns, or feedback.
I think it seems a great start. We can't just continue to ignore, like you said, Sunnyvale. The Lanai street has been ripped for as many years as anyone can even remember in history. That's why need we keep ignoring that if we can make a change? So I think it's a great start. I was wondering about some language issues maybe in the document about it all kind of presumes that it's all going to the owner because the owner has the unit, they're legally attached to it, but in some instance, it could be a tenant who's making these violations if it turns that it's not about the way the unit is kept, but maybe it's about an activity or something like that. So I don't know if we need to distinguish or add language that it's specifically tilted towards owner in that. And I'm just wondering about any twist or extra
Really, when it comes to, I'm speaking very generally, but
Okay.
the landlord is responsible for all activities of the tenant. It gets imputed through the bylaws,
Gotcha.
through the leasing agreements and the bylaw. I'm speaking a little bit out of school because I don't have it in front of me, but that's generally the same way that if maintenance fees aren't paid, that all of it goes back. If the unit is, I'm just going to say the words. The word is 5 obsessive giant barking dogs, so we can all agree it's a nuisance. 5 obsessive giant barking dogs. Then even though they belong to the tenant, it is the landlord's responsibility to make sure that his tenant is complying with our social contract.
That is correct. And I have a question in regards to setting the fines. I think we do have to make sure that they are in fact in the bylaws, that we can charge these fines and they have to be voted on. So
Actually, that is not true at all. The
Okay.
statute provides us the opportunity. I can read it to you, quote it to you.
thank you.
I need let's see where's that. So, Chapter 718.303 authorizes condominium associations to levy reasonable fines against any unit owner or the owner's tenant, guest, license, or invitee for failure to comply with the declaration of bylaws or rules and regulations of the association. So that is where our authority to create this comes from. It is limited by the statute to be a maximum of $100 per violation, $100 per day, and a total of $1,000. Beyond that, there's no additional approval of this that has to happen. It's already been granted by the statute.
Thank you for being clear. Thank you, Dennis.
And I think as long as we're consistent in the fine violations so that it doesn't show favoritism, I think we're okay.
And the statute does set the statute skipped the part that I added, which was the first violation, $50. The statute itself actually says it can be $100 from the beginning, and I felt, particularly being a new process and something that we're trying to implement, I'm the person who lowered the first violation to $50.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense. And then as far as the process goes for notification, Maureen, when you mentioned that to me, we do have at Oasis, we have these, they're basically door hangers. And I can write on there what the violation is. I check off first violation. I write exactly what it is, how much time you have to fix it, and I put it on your door. And this way you will see it right away. And we give that certain amount of time frame. We mark it in our calendars for that 30 days. We go back and see if the item has been taken care of. It's pretty simple, I think. It's not very invasive to everyone either. They see the violation. You get a copy of it in writing. I can also send an email to back that up, just in case.
I would suggest when we go for implementation of the process, Dennis, that we consider sending certified notifications so they're enforceable.
The notice of the violation can probably go by email, but once there actually is a fine imposed, it does have to go by certified mail.
Yes, agreed. And there
Yeah, because
was.
you think about a situation, Yvonne, where you have a tenant in there, right? Or they never got it, or things like that. That's my only concern about the method for notice. Any other board members?
It doesn't say how.
Do any other board members have any questions or concerns about the resolution being proposed?
Just to clarify how the initial violations are identified, would Yvonne be able to do it without any notification, and that just takes the ball off, or does the board have to initiate first?
I would suggest that we have the Buildium map, right? I mean, anybody can anonymously submit a violation notification, right? If you see something that's ongoing, I mean, anybody can submit it. When Yvonne does her walkarounds and her inspections, I can see that happening. I can also see the Standards and Violation Committee during their walkabouts, identifying them. I don't personally, John, I don't have a preference on how they're identified.
I think also if you do want to, if you see a violation, something specific, and you want to send it to me, I will be completely anonymous. I will not tell anybody this information.
I mean, my take on these violations is they're black and white. I mean, these are the violations that we're talking about. Those that are ambiguous, I think, are going to be the ones that are more challenging. But I don't know. That's just my take on it.
I have a question.
Maureen, when we're talking about...
Hold on a second. I want to make sure that the board has an opportunity to answer any questions before we open it up to the floor.
Good. We're good.
I think it sounds great to start up.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Yvonne. Facilitate the floor.
So my question is, you make write an email or send a violation, just the owners or people that rent can also communicate those violations?
My thought is anybody. It's black and white. Everybody in the community signs that they have read and are going to conform to the bylaws, declaration, articles of incorporation, rules and regulations, right? Everybody in this community is a member of the community and have to suffer the consequences of others not maintaining their property, right? And let's face it, we all live here, right? So my take on it is anybody that sees something should say something, send it up to the office, put it in an email, go into Buildium. I do know that we have an issue with our renters not being able to access Buildium. That's something, as a side note, that I think we need to take care of. They need to have a voice, and they need to present those violations as well. The more eyes we have on it, I think that's my opinion. Does anybody else